Good morning and welcome to All People's Church Unitarian Universalist. Our minister, Lori King Nelson, is not in the pulpit every week, and today we're providing worship services that tell a story from our Unitarian, Universalist, and UU histories. Stories about how ordinary people showed up in very different ways in particular contexts to side with love and show up for justice. We're especially pleased to welcome those who have not been here before, and if you haven't done so, please sign in at the visitors table by the door where you can be placed on a mailing list to receive weekly emails and the monthly newsletter. At the end of the service, please stay and join us for coffee and conversation at the library in the back of the sanctuary. Please settle comfortably now for our musical prelude.
Our Unitarian Universalist faith has grown from seeds planted by our Unitarian and Universalist ancestors. From them, we've inherited a legacy of courage and compassion, finding new ways to live our values. These are the words of Reverend Elizabeth Wen. As Unitarian Universalists, our journey is to transform the big and the small, to transform ourselves and to transform the world. Universalism means no one is outside the circle of love and no one is disposable. We stubbornly seek out the spark of the divine in each other, no matter what. Interdependence means none of us is truly free until we are all free, and our thriving is bound up in the earth's thriving. We struggle for liberation from the violence of white supremacy, sexism, ableism, classism, and homophobia. Our covenants mean we make promises to our communities to honor, love, and justice above all else.
Please stand as you are able and join us for our child's life, opening hymn and affirmation. To be a Unitarian Universalist means we'll never be done with the work. The work of telling the truth about oppression, the work of resisting any laws, policies, or practices that deny anyone their humanity, the work of stubbornly seeking out the spark of the divine each other. No matter what, the work of creating heaven on earth. To be a Unitarian Universalist also means we're not alone in the work. We are not alone because of our promises to love one another. We are not alone because we are companions on the journey. We grow ourselves into allies, helping one another get free. Because none of us is truly free until we are all free. Please join us in singing our opening hymn, number 368, Now Let Us Sing. Sunday, we read an affirmation. Affirmation, by definition, means the action or process of affirming something or being affirmed. And to affirm something means to declare support and or state as fact. This means that we not only support these words, but we are choosing to live by them, not just in our words, but in our actions. Now please join in reciting our affirmation. The words are in the order of service and also projected on the screens. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve others in community, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with creation. Thus do we covenant with one another. Please be seated. The young and young at heart are now invited to come forward for our Time for All Ages here at the front of the chancel.
Good morning. Yeah, y'all come sit over here. Y'all look ready for St. Patrick's Day. Are you going to be able to see the story from over there? Ooh. You got a Pikachu.
Look what I got.
Oh my gosh. That was a fun party that you had little gifts and stuff. Oh, okay. Well, the book we're reading this morning is called Sometimes People March. Yeah. And so if you look over here, you can see these are my marching shoes. What do they say? Together we rise. Yeah. And they have everybody's fist is up because they're marching in solidarity. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, let's see why people march, okay? Oh, sometimes ants march.
I know.
Oh, you know.
Sometimes lions.
Lions march, oh. Sometimes bands march. Have you ever seen a band march?
Yeah.
Sometimes people march. Yes, marching people. Have you ever seen people march somewhere? Okay, you haven't? Well, if you've seen a band march, those people are marching. Marching is something people do together when they want to resist injustice. So this says, protest parade, children on 57th Street. Or when they notice the need for change. Oh, look at that. That beach is so filthy with people's trash.
So you should clean it up.
Yes.
You have to clean up after yourself.
Exactly, we should.
Take care of the earth.
Yes. People march for many reasons. People march for things they care about and for people they love. And look, they're taking the temperature of the earth because it's sick. And that's true. The earth is sick right now because we're not taking good care of it.
Well, I try to get this bad stuff that went down to the bottom, and I'm trying to get it out.
Okay, good. You carry bags to put trash in? That's so
And
good.
Here in the playground and the nursery, I dig the holes to get trashed out.
Oh, that's fantastic.
We cover the holes back up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I'm making piles with toys.
Well, people march for the health of their bodies and for their communities and the world. Look, protect water. People march for the freedom to love and live and learn. Yeah, we want to have the freedom to learn also, right? Sometimes people carry signs to share their stories of resistance. Ooh. Votes for women, stop the war, climate justice now. Access is a civil right. March for our lives. Oh, there's so many more. Yeah, there's a lot. Y'all can look at this afterwards because that was a lot of signs. People resist in many ways. Sometimes people resist with their voices. Have you ever heard this? I bet y'all have. Show me what democracy looks like. Thank you. They might resist with words. This is a really old typewriter, huh? The way to right wrongs is to turn the light of truth upon them. Yeah. Or with songs. Boy, he's playing a banjo on a boat. Or art. That's very cool. People resist with meetings. Look, they're having a meeting and they're saying boycott. They resist by standing up or sitting down or taking a knee. It isn't always easy. Feet get tired, arms get tired. Yes, you know that bridge.
I told that bridge.
Sometimes hearts and hopes get tired. Sometimes problems seem too big or complex. You can tell this is a new book. It's hard to get the pages turned. But we do not march alone. Ants are stronger together. Bands are louder together. People are more powerful together. Look, they've interlocked their arms so nobody can move them. It says, we won't move. Sometimes from feelings of fear or anger or injustice comes the hope for change. Yeah. Sometimes great change starts small with a brave question. Maybe your question, a question that calls people together. What does his sign say? No one is illegal. That's very good. Oh my gosh. And together we find the courage to march. That's a lot of people. I've seen that many people marching downtown in our own town.
Wait, it's March. That's why they call it March, because...
Pretty good. Yeah. So that's it. Together, we find the courage to march. So I don't know if either of y'all have marched in a protest march. Okay. You probably will one day. And you'll get to these feelings that you have about the earth and about justice for the earth and for people. You'll get to march to help make those things become a reality. All right. I want you to think about those things this week. Okay. Are y'all on spring break? Okay. So you're off this whole coming week.
Because of school.
Oh, woo! Okay, no lessons. That's the best part. All right, y'all go have fun this week, okay? Let's sing them out. Don't we wish it was our spring break? Me too, I miss those days. Reverend Meg Barnhouse, may she rest in power, wrote this in 2018 after hearing this story during a retreat. There was a teacher who used to come to the camp every summer, a man who would transform himself into Thomas Jefferson, Ralph Waldo Emerson, or Theodore Parker in turn. He would bring his class to sit under a large oak tree out on the quad, and the conversation would range over history, philosophy, and theology. Summer after summer, folks would look forward to that class, to sitting under what they came to call the wisdom tree. They would look forward to having the kind of conversations where you hear and even say things yourself that surprise and delight you. One summer night during the church camp, a storm came through. As the people slept, winds and rain whipped the campus. Lightning flashed and struck hard. It struck close. In the morning, daylight revealed that the wisdom tree was scattered in splinters on the ground. As the grounds crew came to clear it away, Church people came from every corner of the campus to circle around. One by one, they asked to take a piece of the tree home with them. This story struck me, Meg says. It makes such a good picture of who we UUs are. There's a broad and spreading wisdom available to us, which shows up in history, theology, poetry, music, art, scripture, conversation, nature, and ritual. Individuals have a spark of the divine inside, an inner wisdom that, related to sanely, responsibly, and in community, will lead to truth and peace. Sometimes the place where you used to find wisdom gets destroyed. People fail you. A church disappoints you. New information strips away your feeling about a scripture. It's as if your wisdom tree is lying in splinters. In the aftermath of such coming apart, we're tempted to take our piece of wisdom home with us and stick it in a place of honor, savoring and celebrating that one little piece of wisdom of which we can be sure, pulling it out whenever there is a new question, a new issue, acting as if that piece of wisdom is self-sustaining, and as if it is enough on its own to sustain us. In acting like this, we are forgetting the crucial next step. What is needed to bring our wisdom tree back together with the others, to stand together on the roots of the wisdom we have? We do have wisdom within us, but it's not enough to hold and savor just the wisdom we can grasp. Our piece needs to be added to others. It's difficult to walk a good spiritual path solo. It helps to be in relationship to a community where your wisdom can be made more whole, challenged, and where it can have fresh life breathed into it by touching it again and again to its roots, by bringing it together with the wisdom others carry with them. Then, if lightning strikes, if all the places you used to go to learn are ruined, if all the things you used to know for sure are gone, just hold up your piece of wisdom. I'll be holding mine, and we'll find each other. Now, in relating this story, Meg reminded me of that old Christian hymn, "On Christ the solid rock I stand, all other ground is sinking sand," and how over the years I came to view it as foundational to my commitment to the church and to its mission in the world. Our foundation, the 5 smooth stones, and our principles are what keep us standing on solid ground. But we can't have a foundation, that thing which binds us to the past, present, and future of Unitarian Universalism, without growing our own church and the people in it. So, as the stewardship drive begins, I hope you will each hold up your splinter of wisdom and maybe add a rock to it, so we can continue to grow our church and continue the work that is so needed in our world today. Please prayerfully consider the impact an increased pledge now will make for the future of our church. Will the ushers please come forward to receive our gifts?
We begin our first story by remembering one of our beliefs. We make promises to honor love and justice above all else. By the mid-1940s, the strength of the Nazi Germany had grown, taking severe tolls on human life throughout Europe. Not enough was being done to assist the thousands of people attempting to flee the danger of Nazi occupation. The Unitarian Service Committee was established in 1940 to help Jews, political dissidents, and others under threat as fascist armies spread across Europe. They also helped get food and other assistance to hundreds more in urgent need. Its commissioner was Reverend Charles Ryan Joy, Lisbon. Lisbon was the only open port in Europe, and millions of refugees were pouring in. From his headquarters in Lisbon, Rev Joy oversaw a secret network of couriers and agents, helping to provide travel documents that would allow those refugees to escape to freedom. But the Unitarian Service Committee was an unknown organization. That put them at a disadvantage, establishing trust across barriers of language, nationality, and faith could mean life instead of death. Joy needed an official symbol for the papers issued by the Service Committee. He wrote, "When a document may keep a man out of jail, give him standing with governments and police, it is important that it look important." He asked Hans Deutsch, an Austrian refugee artist, to create one. The result was essentially the flaming chalice as we know it now. And like our faith itself, the flaming chalice symbol has evolved over time. The chalice has a two-dimensional drawing eventually transformed into the object we use in worship, thanks to our religious exploration programs. Curricula in the late 70s encouraged the children to make chalices in different media. Eventually, those chalices morphed into objects that could be lit. The first documented uses of chalices in the main sanctuary are from Sundays on which the children and youth led worship and demonstrated their practice to the adult congregation. We begin our second story by remembering that none of us is truly free until we're all free. In the 1800s,
white Universalist Unitarians had inconsistent responses to what we now recognize as the evil of slavery. The country's bitter divisions grew when the Fugitive Slave Act was passed in 1850. Some Unitarians and Universalists stayed on the sidelines while others became abolitionists. Unitarian minister Reverend Theodore Parker was a leading abolitionist and a leading member of the Boston Vigilance Committee, an underground group that helped hundreds of enslaved people find freedom. In 1854, a 19-year-old enslaved person named Anthony Burns escaped from slavery in Virginia and fled to Boston, where he was arrested and held at the courthouse. A crowd of 5,000 assembled in Boston's Faneuil Hall, where Theodore Parker told them, "I love peace, but there is a means and there is an end. Liberty is the end, and sometimes peace is not the means towards it." Meanwhile, members of Boston's Black community were meeting nearby and rushed to the courthouse in an attempt to rescue Burns. Hundreds of white abolitionists ran from Faneuil Hall to help them. An estimated 2,000 anti-slavery protesters mobbed Court Square that Friday night and tried unsuccessfully to free Burns. The United States was built on a legacy of slavery, racism, and oppression that continues to take new, ever-changing forms. Today, 172 years after the Boston slave riot, Unitarian Universalists bear witness to the systemic devaluing of Black lives. We commit ourselves to dismantling systems of white supremacy, which is an institutionalized cultural pattern reaching far beyond any single innocent incident or person.
At this time in our service, we pause to honor and give reflection and attention to those things important to us. We gather here for healing and for peace in our hearts and in the world, and honor our time together with shared stories and news from the congregation. Each week, there is a journal outside the entrance to the sanctuary where you can write a message of memory or hope. And we honor these messages by lighting 3 candles here next to our chalice. Also, at any time during our service, you are welcome to come forward and light a candle in our meditation here on the side of the chancel. Today, we have these messages from the book. David Bindi is asking for prayers and positive energy to be sent up for his brother-in-law who has been diagnosed with brain cancer. Neil is on an experimental drug treatment plan, and he thanks us for our thoughts and well wishes. We also have a note here to please keep the family and friends of Pat Hinshaw in your thoughts. He lost his battle with liver cancer this past week. And then from Joel, we want to take time to thank all the people who came for the all-church cleanup day yesterday, and I think you can see the improvement around the building. Now, please join us for a silent meditation, followed by music from Misha.
We remember again that none of us is truly free until we're all free. In the years before Kansas was admitted to statehood in 1861, there was a violent conflict about whether slavery would be legal in the new state. John Brown, who had been born in the territory that became Kansas, was fiercely opposed to slavery. He believed that violence was justified in his righteous cause because white people would never willingly, peacefully put an end to slavery. In 1857 and again in 1859, John Brown came to Boston to seek financial support from local abolitionists. His strongest and richest supporters came to be known as the Secret Six. 5 of them were Unitarians. 2, Theodore Parker and Thomas Wentworth Higginston, were Unitarian ministers. The Secret Six helped fund and supply John Brown's 1859 raid on the Federal Armory at Harper's Ferry. In the words of Reverend Carl Gregg, we can today see the ways in which the Secret Six were naive in supporting John Brown's raid at Harper's Ferry, and at the same time, the Secret Six did risk their comfort and privilege to support John Brown's armed insurrection because they had come to believe that nonviolent legislative means of ending slavery had no chance of succeeding. The historical consensus is that Brown's raid, even though it failed, did catalyze the movement towards civil war. Dismantling oppression is not easy. The systems of white supremacy, sexism, ableism, classism, and homophobia don't want to be changed. They're powerful. They fight back when we attempt to find another way. How far would you go to set other people free? It's your question to answer. Our Unitarian Universalist tradition will not provide the answer for you. Instead, Unitarian Universalism asks us to encourage your free and responsible search for truth, for meaning, and for justice as we hold tension between the world as it is and as we wish it to be.
Unitarian Universalists know that life comes with hard choices. And we believe that pregnant people can be trusted to make hard choices, including the decision to terminate a pregnancy. Even after the Griswold versus Connecticut ruling in 1965, it was difficult for women to get birth control in many areas of the country. It was illegal and often deadly to seek an abortion. In 1967, an unlikely group formed to help women obtain safe abortions, the Clergy Consolation Service, an underground network of rabbis and ministers, including UU ministers. In fact, a local minister who served First Church of Dallas and was a member here at what was First Jefferson Church was a participant in the clergy consultation. The charge for aiding and abetting an illegal abortion was a $1,000 fine and up to a year in prison. But the Clergy Consultation Service operated out in the open, says one minister, sending the message that we were choosing to defy the law in order to adhere to a higher law. By 1973, roughly 1,400 clergy members across the country had helped hundreds of thousands of women access safe abortions. Having clergy take such risks helped to change social attitudes about abortion. And the case that became Roe v. Wade started in Texas with encouragement from Unitarian Universalists, especially the Women's Alliance of the First Unitarian Church of Dallas. Today, we affirm this commitment. In the words of Reverend Lisa Sargent, the moments for reproductive rights, for gay and lesbian rights, for civil rights, for immigrant rights, for human rights, cannot be separated. Each of them is fundamentally about ensuring that every person has control over their own life.
In our final story today, we recognize yet again that none of us is truly free until we are all free. On Sunday, March the 7th, 1965, Alabama state troopers attacked 600 unarmed protesters as they walked across the Edmund Pettus Bridge outside Selma, in an attack that became known as Bloody Sunday. The following day, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. called on clergy across the nation to come to Selma to to witness the brutality and to bring national attention to the violence and injustice. There, in his call to clergy, Dr. King wrote, "No American is without responsibility. The people of Selma will struggle on for the soul of the nation, but it is fitting that all America help to bear the burden. I call, therefore, on clergy of all faiths, representative of every part of the country, to join me for a minister's march. In this way, all America will testify to the fact that the struggle in Selma is for the survival of democracy everywhere in our land. The struggle for the survival of democracy continues today. In January, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, better known by their acronym ICE, came in force to Minneapolis and to St. Paul to conduct sweeping raids on Somali Americans and others. They have terrorized these twin cities. When faced with nonviolent protesters and observers, they have responded with pepper spray, tear gas, and bullets. Renee Good, a beloved community member and mother, was murdered by ICE agents as she followed directions to leave an area where ICE was operating. In response to the escalating violence, faith leaders have once again been called to witness. In 1965, clergy responded to Dr. King's call. Today, clergy are again responding to the call from Minneapolis. UU ministers and other religious leaders from across the country have come to Minneapolis to bear witness to the ongoing injustice. As Side with Love writes, our faith calls us to affirm the inherent worth and dignity of every person, to side with love and to work for justice. We go to Minneapolis because when our neighbors are under siege, when mothers are dying from fear in their own homes, living our principles demands that we show up. We go to bear witness, to use our bodies and our covenant to say, not here, not in our name. Not all of us can go to Minneapolis to witness, but our response to all injustice must be as a community, not as individuals. No one of us is powerful enough to fight the oppression that we are experiencing. But together, we can respond powerfully. Some of us witnessing in person, others supporting at a distance, all of us answering the call. Our closing hymn is number 159, This Is My Song. The text was written by Lloyd Stone between the two world wars as a prayer for peace. The tune was composed by Gene Sibelius as the choral for his famous symphonic poem, Finlandia. The hymn explores and celebrates the importance of music to one's homeland, the power that music has to encourage peace, to connect and sustain people through incredible challenges. Please stand as you are willing and able and join us singing This Is My Song.
Extinguish the chalice with gratitude for our roots, the ancestors who taught us to be brave in creating a fair and loving world. The flame is now ours, as in their work. We side with love, we work for justice, and we carry the flame forward.
Our benediction comes from the Reverend Ali K.C. Bell. Let us remember that hope has feathers, that it takes wing, not because it is naive, but because it is present, active, and alive. And let us not rest in complacency, but in truth. We are survivors, we are thrivers, and we will not stop until our work is done. Please join us for coffee and conversation in the library behind the sanctuary.